Have you ever just stopped and looked at an English word and thought, why is that letter there? We write all these letters, but when we actually speak, a bunch of them just disappear. They're like these silent architects, shaping our words from the shadows. Okay, let's dive into this hidden world.
It all kind of starts with this simple question, one I'm sure you've asked. Why in the world is there a K in night or a B in doubt? Are they just weird spelling mistakes that nobody ever bothered to fix? Well, the real answer is way more fascinating than that. So, just to make sure we're all on the same page, let's get a clear definition down. A silent letter is exactly what it sounds like. It's a letter you see written down, but you just don't say it out loud in modern speech. It's basically a ghost on the page. So, let's frame this whole thing not as a spelling problem, but as a mystery. These letters, they aren't mistakes. Nope. They are clues in a huge linguistic puzzle that goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. And once you start looking for these clues, you realize they are absolutely everywhere, hiding in plain sight. I mean, think about it. The K in knee and no, the B in thumb, the W in sword, that GH in light, the L in half. They're so common we just kind of tune them out. But why are they there?
And here's the key, the big reveal. These letters aren't useless. They're not just taking up space. They are historical echoes. They're like little linguistic fossils that tell us a story about where our words came from and how they used to sound.
And that's exactly where our investigation is going to take us, right into the past. To really get why some letters went quiet, we have to listen to these echoes from history and see how the English language was actually put together. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. You see, our spelling and our pronunciation didn't exactly grow up together. Way back in Old English, you pretty much said a word how it was spelled. Simple. But then, big things happened. In 1066, the Norman conquest brought in all these French spellings. Then, in the 1400s, the printing press came along, and that was a total game changer. It standardized spelling, pretty much freezing it in time. But while the spelling was locked in, the way we talk kept changing, leaving that old spelling behind like a historical snapshot. Let's go back to our friend night. People used to pronounce that K and that GH sound in the back of their throat. It was something like knicht. But we stopped making those sounds over time. The pronunciation changed, but the spelling was already set in stone. Or take the word debt. That silent B was actually added in later by scholars who wanted to show off that the word came from the Latin debitum, even though no one was ever saying the B sound. So, knowing all this history, we can actually start to crack the code. These silent letters, they're not random at all. They follow really specific patterns based on where a word came from. Check this out. It's almost like a Rosetta Stone for silent letters. You see a silent GN at the beginning of a word like gnome? That's a huge clue it's from Old English. That MB combo you see in thumb? Also Old English. See a word ending in a silent ED like ballet? That's practically a postcard from its French origins. And that silent PS in a word like psychology? You can bet you're looking at a word borrowed from Greek. Each silent letter is like a passport stamp. Of course, every language has its rebels, the real tricksters, and English has some serious oddballs. Words like kernel, yacht, queue. I mean, these words don't just have one silent letter. Their whole spelling seems to play by a completely different set of rules, perfectly preserved from their own weird histories. They're a real test of memory over logic, that's for sure. So when you boil it all down, you end up with this really simple but kind of powerful idea. Silent letters are not mistakes. They're memories. They're these quiet little reminders that our language, just like a person, carries its entire past with it. So, the next time you write down the word no, or sword, or calm, just take a second. You're not looking at some kind of spelling error or a letter that's just loafing around. No, you're looking at a memory. You're reading a snapshot of how that word was spoken centuries ago, perfectly preserved on the page. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, if a single, quiet letter can tell such a rich story about conquests and inventions and the evolution of sound itself, what other incredible stories are hiding in plain sight in the simple words that you use every single day?